Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Aphrodite, aka Madam Suave. If you are new here, I would like to welcome you to the community. Be sure to check the description box down below and like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to. Okay, and I know y'all, alright, I just got done washing my hair and stuff, and I was not planning to give a message. However, as I was washing my hair, the downloads kind of started flooding in, and I like to move while the anointing is fresh, okay? Okay, so obviously this message is about Saturn return in Aries, okay, and I'm calling it the poison and the potion. So this message is especially for those with Saturn and Aries experiencing your Saturn return, but not limited to, okay, because energy is very nuanced and energy operates as an ecosystem, okay? So you may see for the thumbnail, or you may or may not see for the thumbnail, I used a particular tweet. Now, I used it because it was relevant to this message, okay? It's relevant to this message, but also when I originally saw this, I quote tweeted, okay? But for the life of me, I cannot find the quote tweet. Oh, I cannot find the quote tweet. So it is fine, okay? But we are going to go ahead and debunk this again, okay? So the tweet says, unfortunately, the term I don't chase, I attract doesn't work for Mars dominant or Aries placements or wherever Mars or Aries is in your chart, okay? So I am going to say this. Stop allowing people who do not understand alchemy limit your energy, and stop limiting yourself because you do not yet understand or have not yet mastered all that you embody. And though having a debilitated planet can be a challenge, learning the lowest of lows is also learning the highest of highs, okay? So an Aries energy welcomes and leans into the fall to learn firsthand because experience sticks and withstands forever, okay? So personally, okay, as an Aries sun, Mercury, and Saturn, I am very excited for us, okay? So one thing that it is given is that it is our season all Saturn return, okay? That is the energy that I am feeling, okay? So obviously it is going to impact very individually, not only because of this shift, but the expression of the year as a whole. So it impacts everyone. So one thing that I was thinking about, I'm like, we don't even need to kind of break it down into the houses. We don't need to go, you know, how is it going to impact you based on what house it in? It does not matter, okay? Because every house is an extension of the first form of self or life, and that is what Aries represents, okay? So I am the exaltation and highest point of the sun. And when we say it is the exaltation or highest point of the sun, it is the first sign or manifestation without contrast or anything to resist it. So, okay, and pay attention to what I'm saying, right? Nothing to contrast, but specifically nothing to resist it, okay? So think about what the tweet said and then think about what I'm saying right now. There is nothing to contrast or anything to resist it, okay? So for me personally, the Saturn return energy is giving very much Venusian energy. That's what I was feeling when I was in the shower, okay? So it's giving self-love. It's leaning into ease, the power of magnetism and softness, okay? It's understanding that the greatest work you will ever do is the work that you do on yourself, not by yourself, okay? Because your ecosystem only thrives as much as the fuel you source to function it, and everything or everyone that is a part of your ecosystem, okay? So you need to function as an ecosystem in order to function in an ecosystem, okay? It's knowing the difference between using people and utilizing the resources that have presented themselves to you because of the resource and source of light that you are to others, and not feeling guilty, less independent, or shallow for accepting help, because independence begins with making wise decisions no matter the circumstance, because pride will cause you to collapse, but strength sustains what you've worked for, okay? So I am not talking about users, okay? I'm not talking about users who want to try to fix it differently to soothe, okay? You know that you are a taker when you are only up when others surround you, but you are high and dry otherwise. And this goes both spiritually and materially. So pride weakens, trust builds, integrity is honesty and transparency combined with vulnerability, not fearfully but comfortably and confidently, because it's who you are naturally and not a mask that you have to wear. So the only way to enlighten is through the acceptance of reality, and that is where the struggle begins. So for me, you know, as I was thinking, I'm like, maybe it's my Jupiter maybe it is the fact that Jupiter is my chart ruler, but the energy is screaming that it is already mine, okay? Not because I am entitled to it, but because I was born. And when I'm saying I'm not just talking about me and myself, okay? I'm speaking about this as an energy, and I want you guys to feel the energy and what the energy is saying, okay? So not because I am entitled to it, but because I was born to achieve and fulfill it. And in freeing myself, it is already done, okay? So Jupiter cooperates with Saturn in a perfectly balanced world, okay? That is what they are intended to do, is to work together. Jupiter and Saturn work together. They're supposed to be in harmony and balance with one another, okay? So the only way to free yourself is to face yourself as if no one else is in existence. Because if you ain't never had to make a decision, and yes, I'm about to say it, okay, for impact, you'd be somewhere shitting on yourself, okay? We're gonna be honest, all right? So right? Okay. So no one is a lifelong victim where their decisions have perpetually put them in positions of victimhood without a psychological seed having not have already been planted. Okay. And I don't know any victim that begs to be humiliated. Okay. That is a masochist. I don't even remember the previous seasons of Tell Me Lies. Okay. I know that I watched it, but I couldn't quite remember. Okay. But one thing about it, this last season was so sickening. Okay. And I can no longer watch shows where everyone needs therapy, but ain't nobody going to therapy, and instead affirm each other's crazy. Okay. We not doing that. It's like, who needs TV when you live in the real world? You literally cannot escape the real world. So when I'm saying there is nowhere to run, there is nowhere to escape, there is literally nowhere to escape, because everything you see is going to remind you of reality. Okay. So it's like, who would you be if you were the first and only person on this earth? Right? Not a thought before you, no influence of other people, no inspiration but yourself, no map, no guideline. Okay. So if your identity is not clear, you are about to be stripped. Okay. Identity is not personality or anything defined by the systems and the structures of the world. Okay. Identity is soul, because before you are human, you are a code and a signature, and it cannot be forced, forged, or replicated. Okay. So God only knows and responds to the originator. Every fraudulent sound is a demon posing in a costume. And when God tell hell to reveal itself, them demons get to yelling. A title does not protect you from being identified as an unknown caller, because though your identity be fraudulent, every spirit hath name. Now, we do have some messages intersecting, so let me just say this, and then I'm going to get back to the message, okay? But let me just ask you this. Have you ever noticed how God can speak out into the masses, but his voice ordered direct? Truth stirs, truth startles, truth carries sound. Every knee shall bow and humble themselves unto truth, that without announcement he be exalted above all, for I am that I am. So before you react, I suggest you sit with the truth, because every reaction to a word not given name is an open confession through deflection that gives name to the demon operating in you. Just as the stars and the clouds, the rain and the thunder are living and breathing spirits without heart or minds, they are governed by God. And when you under the force of God, it's hard not to know the power of God. But to revel in reverence of God's power is not the same as being forced to your knees, because you don't have the mind or the sense to know him, but bow before the flesh of man. And I'm not talking to the Buddhists who bow out of respect. I'm talking to the ones with no sense of worship, who come in the name of the spirit but idolize the flesh. Ain't no way that man was a pastor but a deceitful tongue, and I apologize on his behalf. So Aries energy is very much leader energy. It is boss energy, very much I will make a way out of no way. And this can be good in situations that require it. But this can also be a downfall, okay? Challenges are fun when you are learning, but unnecessary or unproductive challenges invites danger when adrenaline takes over logic, okay? So take the way that is paved where the casualties are accounted for, okay? Honor the cycles and the seasons and the work that is done within them. Every position services, and you cannot serve if you are out of commission, okay? So when your work ethic comes naturally, you don't have to force. All you have to do is flow, okay? Just as a tree thrives remaining planted, doing as it was created and intended to do, okay? So depending where you are at in your season, this is less about tests and lessons and more about embodying your full value through the way that you care for and nurture the things that you are given, and for the way that you care for yourself, okay? You've never met a selfless Aries until they stop being less of themselves and pouring into them what you did nothing with, okay? okay? So wealth is internal, but we will make it tangible and never run out of the ability to produce more. Now, not just through or for ourselves, but by breathing life into the source of others for the betterment of the entire ecosystem, okay? Because a people who thrive individually thrive better together, okay? And a cheerful giver never runs dry or empty, okay? And this is the bartering way, all right? So that's the end of this message, okay? I was like, I don't think I'm gonna talk about it too much. Like when I put out the original message and I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna briefly talk about it, like it kept popping up and I'm like, bro, I don't even care that much. But but I'm actually, I was like, the more that it was coming in, I was like, hold on, like let's see what's going on here, okay? Because it actually is pretty exciting, okay? So I may have more videos on the matter, okay, since it ended up kind of going in a different direction than intended. Like I still got out the heart of the message, but I feel like there was some, okay, because we had intersecting messages, like I said, and I had two different messages that were kind of forming in my spirit, okay? You know, spirit gonna do what spirit gonna do, and we do have multiple groups to service, so I will probably work on the other message and then we will see what happens after that, okay? So I do hope that y'all got something from this message. I hope that you enjoyed this message. If you did get anything from this message, or if you simply enjoy my content, my energy, my channel, etc., I do ask that you like, comment, share, and subscribe if you feel called to. And I will see you guys next time. Y'all know I love you so much, and goodbye.